I wiped my tears as my hands trembled. I tried to compose myself while breathing slowly. I secretly get up because I don't want my raging husband to notice me again. But as I got up, I could feel my knees soaring from my husband's beating. He got angry over the pettiest thing. I wasn't able to answer his question because I was busy with my laptop doing my work report. He couldn't control his anger issues because he thought that I was ignoring him on purpose. That's why he fumed in anger. He almost hit my laptop, but he punched me instead. From the impact of his punch, I collapsed to the ground, and he even kicked my knees whenever I tried to reason with him. It has always been like this. Just in the slightest mistake, he would go mad. There were many times that I attempted to end our marriage, but he would threaten me every time. What's harder is that we are living with his mother, my mother-in-law, and she is fully aware of the abusive behavior of her son, but yet she doesn't care. She never barged in and tried to stop her son whenever he was about to hit me. She even verbally abused me every chance she got. But I know that two of them are wearing two faces because whenever my parents and grandparents came to visit us, they would act good and kind to me. And of course, they would blackmail and debrief me ahead of time that I should act normal, and if I throw them under the bus, they would seriously ruin my life. As if they can. My family is very influential. My grandparents on the mother's side have a generational wealth that dates back to the 60s. My mother's kin are well-known artists and musicians and are honored in the entire country. In short, they are rich and famous. They never wanted me to marry my husband James because, aside from being born from a different social class than us, he has a record of being mischievous. But we fell in love with each other in college, and here we are, married for almost 5 years. As the firstborn grandchild, it is expected that I will carry the family's legacy soon. The weight of my inheritance had me almost suffocating, but I had learned to carry heavy burdens. But so much for that, let me introduce myself. I am Emma, and I am trapped in a nightmare of an abusive marriage. My life has been in a hellhole from the day I said I do on the altar. How I wish I listened to my parents when they said that I shouldn't be marrying my husband, but he was so good back then. No sign of evilness could be seen in his whole existence, and I could say that I was deceived. James, my husband, is a master of manipulation, and his mother, Rita, pulled the strings from behind the scenes. I am certain of this. Both of them work together to abuse me even if I have done nothing wrong. They would constantly say that they were scammed into marrying me because I thought we would be rich once my son married you, but I was wrong.
That's what I thought so too, Mother Tusk. Marrying her was the biggest mistake of my life.
My husband said those words while looking straight into my eyes. I know they meant to use me for money, and I was nothing more than a pawn in their twisted game. From the early days of our marriage, James revealed his true colors. He would fly into uncontrollable rages over the slightest things, berating me with demeaning insults. Rita, his mother, always had a way of justifying his behavior, enabling his abuse and reinforcing his power over me. It is as if they are working as a team. They draw satisfaction in taunting and condemning me. It's not only physical abuse that they kept on poking at me, but also verbal abuse. Words like worthless, bitch, useless, ugly, and boring were some of the words that were already engraved in my mind. They often shout these words daily, and look at me right now, already immune to their cruelty and harshness. I recalled one particular evening when James's anger boiled over. I had accidentally spilled a glass of water on the carpet, and his reaction was nothing short of monstrous. He grabbed me by the arm and yanked me towards him, his face twisted with rage.
Are you out of your mind? Or are you just pure dumb and stupid?
Please, it was an accident. The pain shot through my body as his grip tightened, leaving bruises that I would have to hide.
There will be no accident if only you were mindful of your actions. You only have one job.
He held my head and pushed it to the ground, directing it to the carpet.
You see that? You made that mess. All you do is make a mess out of everything. Oh well, because you're a mess yourself.
Please, James, it hurts.
Do you think I care? Well, fuck that, because I don't.
He let go of me and I was pushed down the soaking carpet, and my face was wet. I got up immediately, but as I tried to retreat, Rita intervened, her voice dripping with disdain. You're lucky to have him. Lucky? In what dimension do being lucky and having a relationship with James have in common? You always give my son a hard time and even a headache. You are not good for him. She sneered at me, her words like venomous daggers aimed at my already fragile spirit. Of course, James, her precious boy, always came first. Oh, I just want to end everything. One day, as I was sitting in our backyard, I received a phone call from an unknown user. I was so surprised because I don't usually give off my phone number to random people, so I answered it. Hello?
Emma, this is Mr. Spencer, your grandfather's lawyer. I'm sorry to inform you that your grandfather has passed away.
I almost dropped my phone as I heard the news. My eyes welled up with tears and my voice trembled. Are you certain? I can't believe it. How did this happen? Shared memories of me and my grandfather came flashing back into my mind. The happy times and even the sad moments when I have to move out of the house because I chose to marry this monstrous husband of mine. I couldn't believe he was gone. Last month, he just visited me here in our house and was generous enough to lend me money for renovation. My ungrateful husband and mother-in-law kept on bragging about it to other people, telling them it was their money. There was a car accident. It was sudden and unexpected. I understand this is a difficult time for you. But I need to meet with you as soon as possible to discuss the details of your inheritance. As my eyes welled up out of disbelief, I remembered the wealth that I'm about to inherit. I know all along that someday I'm going to take over my grandfather's legacy and money. Yes, of course. I will be at your office tomorrow morning. As much as I don't want to discuss inheritance during these trying times, it is necessary and urgent to have the inheritance transferred to me immediately because it is in my grandfather's will. That's fine, Emma. Take your time. We can arrange everything when you're ready. But there is something that you need to know, that's why I'm insisting our meeting be urgent. I know you still have to mourn for your loss, but if only you can spare a little of your time, please do. And yes, I agreed with him. I don't know what we are going to talk about, but I know that is very important, and I don't want to waste time. We exchanged a few more pleasantries before hanging up. I took a deep breath, trying to process the news. As I gazed into the distance, a flicker of determination replaced my initial sorrow. I never expected this, but maybe, just maybe, this is my chance to change everything. The facade of my submissive role in this wretched household began to crumble after my inheritance. The news of my grandfather's passing reached my husband and mother-in-law. They were so shocked, even if they were faking it, at least I could sense the genuineness. They planned on sending flowers and visiting for the funeral service. I didn't listen to their conversation because I was busy packing, and for all I know, all of it is just an act, as if they truly care. They're only after my inheritance. James and Rita sensed the opportunity to exploit my newfound wealth, and I wasn't wrong at all. Suddenly, their treatment towards me underwent an alarming transformation. They showered me with fake affection, attempting to mask their true intentions. When we were at my grandfather's wake, they talked to my family with real concern about me. My mother in law told them how much she values me as her daughter in law, and that she was so grateful that her son married me. Oh God, save me from all this fakeness. My husband even tried to do skinship with me. He kept on holding my hand and wrapping his arms around my shoulders, showing my family how close and loving we are, but my reactions and body languages say otherwise. Oh, I just want to get out of this hellhole. And I wasn't fooled. Beneath their feigned kindness, I sensed their greed and manipulation. Their sudden change only served to confirm my suspicions that they were only after my money. Just like the vultures circling their prey, I became determined to uncover the truth to expose their vile scheme. The next morning, my grandfather was still laid at the funeral house, but I took the time to talk to his lawyer. As soon as I came to the lawyer's office, he sat down with me and directly told me the truth.
Emma, I need to discuss something important with you regarding your inheritance. Your grandfather left behind a letter specifically addressed to you.
My eyes widened with anticipation, my hands gripping the edge of the chair. What does the letter say, Mr. Spencer? Mr. Spencer retrieved a sealed envelope from his desk and handed it to me.
Your grandfather suspected something wasn't right about your marriage. He had his doubts and decided to investigate further.
My heart pounded in my chest like crazy as I carefully opened the envelope, revealing a handwritten letter inside. My eyes started to form tears as I saw my grandfather's handwriting. He has always been so effortful in showing that he cared for me. I read it silently and my face transitioned from confusion to shock. This can't be true.
I'm afraid it is, Emma. Your grandfather discovered evidence that your marriage to James was forged, a ploy to gain access to your inheritance. He wanted to protect you even in his grave.
And finally, my tears welled up down my cheeks. A mix of heartbreak and anger. My voice cracked as I held back my tears from falling. I never imagined. I thought James loved me, even before our marriage. I know he changed the moment we tied the knot, but I thought his intentions were real and pure. When he was still courting me, and Rita, his mother, they both seemed so genuine back then, but this explains why they hated me so much and they hurt me physically and verbally.
I understand this is difficult to accept, Emma, but your grandfather wanted you to know the truth and use the money to escape that trap. But wait a minute, are they mistreating you?
Mr. Spencer's tone was full of disbelief. I took a deep breath and nodded. I wiped away my tears. Yes, they do, but I know karma will soon come for them. But anyway, thank you, Mr. Spencer. I won't let their deceit define my life anymore. I will gather evidence and fight back.
I admire your strength, Emma. I will do everything in my power to support you legally. We will hold them accountable for their actions.
I stood up, my posture straightening with newfound courage. I won't let them win. I will protect myself and my grandfather's legacy. They will pay for what they have done. Mr. Spencer nodded with a sense of admiration in his eyes.
You have my full support, Emma. We will ensure that justice prevails.
I left his office. My resolve is firm and my steps were filled with purpose. I am determined to uncover the truth, gather evidence against James and Rita, and reclaim my life from the web of deceit. The next day, my grandfather was finally put to rest, and in 30 days, all his inheritance will be transferred to my name and rights. But as soon as I went home, I couldn't still escape the continued physical abuse at James's hand. He kept on tormenting me about my inheritance, asking, "Where is it and why am I not giving him any?" I kept on telling him that I don't have it yet, but he slapped me instead. On several occasions, his anger would reach such heights that he would lash out at me with violent force. I would bear the brunt of his blows both physically and emotionally. The scars run deep, hidden beneath the layers of makeup and long-sleeved clothing. Even if I have the privilege of having a lawyer now, I still let them do this to me because I am gathering evidence. I secretly recorded his abuses every time I sensed that he was about to hurt me, and whenever I have bruises, I took a picture of it and compiled it. The same goes for my past bruises. And through it all, his mother watched with cold detachment. Her silent approval was fueling James's brutality all this time. She reveled in the control they exerted over me, relishing the power dynamics that kept me trapped in their toxic grip. Determined to break free from this cycle of abuse, I devised a plan to gather evidence against James and Rita. I had to be discreet, careful not to arouse their suspicions. I sought the help of a private investigator, secretly documenting their conversations and capturing their true intentions on hidden recordings. As I continued my undercover mission, the abuse from James escalated. His once controlled fury turned into a terrifying storm that raged within our home. I would cower in fear as his fists found their mark, the pain radiating through every inch of my body. But with each blow, I grew more resolute. My strength and determination were fueled by the knowledge that freedom was within reach. The day of reckoning finally arrived. Armed with the evidence I had painstakingly collected, I confronted James and Rita.
"We need to talk."
I stood tall before them, holding a folder of evidence in my hands. James and Rita exchanged uneasy glances, clearly taken aback by my newfound strength. But after a second, they just smirked at me and mocked me for acting so brave.
"Enough is enough, James and Rita. I know the truth about our marriage. It was all a sham, a means for you both to get your hands on my inheritance."
My husband laughed, mocking me.
"What are you talking about, Emma? You're overreacting."
I opened the folder in front of them, revealing the fabricated marriage documents. "I have evidence, James. The forged documents, the secret conversations, everything. I can take this to court and expose your lies." My mother-in-law's face went pale as her eyes darted around nervously.
"Emma, please, we didn't mean any harm. We just wanted what was best for you."
"Best for me? Is this how you define love and care? Through abuse and manipulation? You both thought you could control me, but not anymore. All you think was what's best for the both of you, and that's my inheritance. You don't even care about the pain you've caused me." James's anger flared once again as he stood up harshly and took a step towards me, his face contorted with rage. He gritted his teeth as he reached for my neck, but I stepped back so that he couldn't lay his hands on me.
"You think you can threaten us? We have got our ways, Emma. Don't push us too far."
Just as James raised his hands once again, ready to strike me, the sounds of sirens pierces the air. My face breaks into a triumphant smile. "Oh, don't worry, James. I have taken precautionary measures. The authorities are on their way." James froze, his anger dissipating, and it is now replaced by fear. His mother clutched onto James's arm as her eyes widened with panic. Oh, it feels so good to see them becoming the underdog now. "Emma, please, don't involve the police. We'll do anything you want. Just give us a chance." My smile faded, my eyes filled with a mix of pity and resolve. "It's too late for your empty promises, Rita. You've shown your true colors for far too long. It's time for the law to intervene. I deserve to have my justice, and I will let the law decide." Moments later, the sound of police sirens grew louder. James and Rita exchange terrified glances, realizing their fate is already sealed. I stood tall, my voice filled with determination as I addressed them one last time. This is the end of the line, James and Rita. You will face the consequences of your actions, and I will finally find the freedom and justice I deserve. The police busted through the front door, ready to take control of the situation. James and Rita's faces turned pale further as their hopes of escape faded away. The authorities arrested them and legal proceedings followed. I stood before the court, recounting the horrors I had experienced, from the false marriage to the abuse they did to me. I presented the damning evidence that painted James and Rita as the monsters they truly were. With a swift and just verdict, the judge pounded the gavel, sealing their fate as guilty of the crimes they committed. James and Rita were convicted of their heinous acts. At that moment, a weight lifted from my shoulders, replaced by a newfound sense of liberation and justice. As the courtroom emptied, I stood there no longer a victim but a survivor. The scars that adorned my bodies were reminders of the battles I had fought and the strength I had summoned. The truth had set me free, breaking the chains of abuse that had bound me for far too long. Embracing my inheritance, I used the wealth to rebuild my life, far away from the shadows of abuse and manipulation. On top of that, I decided to work on myself, to heal and grow. I dedicated myself to advocacy and raising awareness about domestic abuse, determined to break the cycle for others who found themselves trapped in similar situations. And this to me is the greatest revenge against their abuse and manipulation, to be happy and content.